feud.
Oh, that's right.
With Trump.
Whatever happened to that guy? He's gone so quiet ever since then.
Actually, the producers told me about this, and I go, why you? I mean, he tweeted, what the hell did people say in Russell? A major loser.
Clearly, he didn't see forgetting Sarah Marshall.
What was that about?
What happened is I met him. And therefore, problems ensued. I interviewed him for a documentary I was making about happiness and essence. And all the while he was talking, I kept thinking, how are we in this big tower that this man owns when he is evidently so stupid? Now, I kept trying to understand it. Then, now I don't like being unkind to people, so I already feel bad about saying that. But obviously, this man sort of practices very much in cruelty, doesn't he? It's like his language. So, so I was trying to analyse it and understand it. I'm a stand-up comedy, and I was doing jokes about it. And then he heard that I'd said these jokes. Some of them were quite cheap, about like his hair looking like the ghost of shredded wheat. Yeah. Some of them, not even shredded wheat that's alive now, but shredded wheat from the ethereal realm. Anyway, I criticised him and I suppose what he's an emblem of, an economic model of inequality and privilege, and now using that privilege to further disempower people and speak cruelly from the office of president. Although, you know, like most people when he was running for president, I thought, oh, this can't actually happen. It can't actually happen. Then, of course, it did actually happen, and now we've got to live with those peculiar consequences. Not like it's a problem if you support Trump, because I imagine that what you're identifying with is a sense of rage, and I understand people's rage. People are being lied to, people are being cheated and swindled. It's just that the solution to this rage is not to move further apart, but to move closer together. So, obviously, isn't it? Anyway, I criticised him and was rude. Oh, cheers.
And he doesn't like to be criticised.
Yeah, and he's only doing it in a jokey way. He does look as if he has thin skin, except for the jowly area. I mean, if he likes borders so much, why not have one between here and here? But I don't like being cruel. I don't like to be cruel. I apologise. I take that back.
You're just
because I think he probably needs love. He must be a human being. What happens in his mind when he's on his own?
You're perhaps just being...
He doesn't want love.
I want to talk about your book.
There must be a way of reaching him with love. Is there?
You're just being observant. Yes, there is. But I want to talk about your book because I read your book.
Yeah, because I've tried my hardest for that book.
And it's really brutally honest, I think, like Whoopi said in the beginning. You write about your past, addictions to everything from heroin to alcohol to sex, and you've spent the last 14 years in recovery. Congratulations.
Thanks.
By the way. Congratulations. Congratulations. So what have you learned about addiction that other people should know? Because you really go through this sort of 12-step process.
Sonny, I can tell you something, that I think we're all on the scale of addiction, and the tools that work to free you from addiction, to alcoholism or drugs, can be used for any kind of form of enslavement to substances. That's what I've learned. Just before the break, you were talking about body image. People are literally being broadcast lies and then responding to it in their body. This is a thing I've learned. We don't choose between working a program, and my book is about a program for living. We don't choose between having a program and not having a program. We choose between a conscious program and an unconscious program. If you're not consciously working a program, you are being worked by your unconscious program.
How do you work a conscious program? How do you do that?
Firstly, you admit that there is a problem, that there is something you want to change. Then you accept that change is possible. And third, you become willing to accept help and to believe in things beyond the limits of your own needs and desires and wants. I think the problem is we have a biochemistry that tells us we need more, we want more. And then we have a culture that tells us that we're not good enough and lies to us in order to make us want more. Just that body image example that you've already used. This happens everywhere, so that we're stimulated into a state of constant consuming.
Now, you just got married.
Oh, it's
just
brilliant.
to change tunes a little bit. You got married, and so a big congratulations.
Thanks.
But you write, as Sonny mentioned, you write in the book about sex addiction. How was the transition from that to domestic life?
It's a pretty radical transition, isn't it?
You're a
That's
dad?
one extreme to the other, isn't it?
Children also.
Yeah.
Like, going from sex addiction to marriage, it's a pretty radical swing. I mean, because in marriage, it's much more cuddling and patience and tolerance, isn't it, than
Well,
sex?
you can
That's
have as much
normal,
sex
isn't
as
it?
you want. You just have
With
to have
the
it with
wife.
the same person.
That's right. I mean, what kind of deal's that? No, I love it. I I love it. I'm very happy to be married. It's bliss. And in fact, what I'm doing is I'm unpicking the stitching of my addiction. I love being present and being a father to my daughter. It's completely changed my outlook. I was a person that was obsessed with fame, obsessed with what other people think of me, and I still care about it. When I think about the book being #1 in a list, I still feel a little egoic pang. But I know nothing can make me happy except for my inner life and my inner connection and being of use to others. And like having a wife and having a baby, I suppose it's the materialization of I'm not the most important person in the world.
Yes.
I always knew it, but no one made it clear to me by vomiting on me.
Now you know it.
Now I know. So clear. Little maids.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Wilkie.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better, yeah. I feel like I'm in humanity. It's just a lot, but my belief about this book and about the programme, perhaps more importantly, is it can change people's consciousness. It can change the way we live in the world. It can unhook us from needing and wanting and not feeling good enough. I think it works. I think it's real.
Well, look, come back anytime.
I'll be back in 10 minutes.
All right. Thanks to Russell Brand. Now, I have to tell you, coming up next, Viola Davis stops by. She stopped by recently, as a matter of fact, and we're going to show you her interview when we come back. It is not live, so don't be surprised that we're not talking about the things that are happening in the last day or so. But before we go, everybody in the audience, you are so lucky because you're all getting a copy of the